New York at night has a personality of its own, restless, unpredictable, alive in ways no city should be at 11 p.m. But on this particular night, something feels different. The streets around the old brownstone townhouse were strangely quiet, wrapped in a cold winter silence that even the traffic lights seemed afraid to disturb. Inside the rented house, Keanu Reeves sat alone in the living room, wrapped in the soft glow of a single warm lamp. He had spent the entire day rehearsing for his new role, pushing himself physically and emotionally the way only he could. Now, finally, he allowed himself a moment of peace. He poured a cup of calming herbal tea, breathing in the steam as he sank into the soft leather sofa. His long hair fell around his face, and for the first time that day he felt his shoulders relax. But peace never lasts long in New York. The wind outside picked up, rattling the windows like a warning. Keanu noticed it, but he didn't move. He closed his eyes and listened to the hum of the heater, the soft ticking of the old wall clock, and the distant siren wailing somewhere far away. This house was elegant but old, filled with the creaks and whispers of history. Still, it felt safe. Until it didn't. Out of nowhere. Thud, thud, thud! A violent, heavy knock slammed against the front door. The sound echoed through the house like a punch. Keanu opened his eyes slowly, confusion flashing across his face. At this hour? Without a call? Something felt off. He set his cup down carefully, the ceramic clinking softly against the table. As he stood, he felt the same instinct he often felt when he entered dangerous scenes in movies. His senses sharpening, breath steadying, body quietly preparing for anything. Another knock. Louder, angrier, impatient. Keanu approached the door, his footsteps silent against the polished wooden floor. He paused for a moment, listening. A woman's voice came from the other side, muffled but unmistakably sharp. "Open the door, I know you're in there." He frowned. The tone wasn't just angry, it was disrespectful, accusatory. Not the voice of someone in an emergency, not the voice of someone who worked for the rental company. At least, not the way they ever spoke to him before. Keanu unlocked the door and opened it slightly, keeping the chain on for safety. Standing under the dim porch light was a tall woman dressed in a house manager uniform. Her eyes were fierce, her expression cold, and her body language tense. She didn't greet him. She didn't introduce herself. Instead, she leaned closer and hissed, "You Hollywood people think the world revolves around you." The night was no longer quiet, and Keanu sensed, instantly, that this was only the beginning. The woman standing at the door had a presence that filled the entire entranceway. She was tall, with a commanding posture, and her expression was carved with irritation so sharp it could cut through stone. The cold porch light flickered above her, casting quick shadows across her face. For a moment, Keanu wondered if this was a misunderstanding. Maybe she was having a bad night. New York had a way of wearing people down. He unlatched the chain and slowly opened the door wider. "Ma'am, can I help you?" Keanu asked, keeping his voice calm, gentle, respectful, the way he always spoke to strangers. The woman didn't step inside. Instead, she placed one hand firmly on her hip and looked him up and down as if evaluating someone she had already decided she didn't like. "I'm the house manager," she snapped. "This property is under my supervision, and we have serious issues, Mr. Reeves." Her tone carried a weight that didn't match the quiet street behind her. It was too strong, too aggressive, too personal. Keanu could sense it immediately. This wasn't simply someone doing her job. This was someone who had arrived with anger preloaded, ready to fire. He stepped aside and gestured politely. "Please come in. If there's a problem, I'd like to fix it." But she didn't move. "No," she said sharply. "We talk right here." Her refusal was strange. Most property managers preferred walking through the house to inspect problems, not confronting celebrities on the doorstep like this. Keanu noticed something else. Her hands were clenched, fingers trembling slightly. Not from cold, from tension. She glanced inside the house behind him, as if checking whether anyone else was there. Then her eyes locked back onto him with surprising intensity. "You've been violating house rules," she said, her voice rising. "Noise complaints, unauthorized guests, damage to furniture. Do you think because you're famous you can get away with anything?" Keanu blinked, stunned. "I'm sorry. What? I haven't done any of that." "Oh, really?" She leaned closer, so close he could see the frustration burning in her eyes. "You think lying makes it better?" Her accusations hit him like unexpected blows. Keanu was known for being quiet, respectful, the kind of man who apologized if his shoes squeaked too loudly. The idea that he caused noise complaints was almost laughable. But the woman wasn't laughing. Keanu took a slow breath, trying to understand. "Ma'am, there must be a misunderstanding. I've been alone all evening." Her jaw tightened. "Don't talk to me like I'm stupid." That sentence cut deeper than her accusations. For the first time, Keanu realized she didn't come here to talk. She came here to attack, not physically, but verbally, emotionally, intentionally. And something was fueling her intensity, something she wasn't saying. Behind her, a car parked across the street idled with its headlights off. Silent, watching. The cold air between them felt heavy, almost electric, as if the street itself was holding its breath. The house manager's face hardened into an expression that carried years of frustration, the kind that had nothing to do with Keanu yet was being thrown at him with full force. Keanu stood still, his posture relaxed but attentive. He refused to escalate the situation. He'd met all kinds of people in his life, angry fans, rude reporters, aggressive strangers, but something about her behavior didn't align with simple irritation. It felt aimed, like she had been instructed to provoke him. She took a step forward, nearly bumping her shoulder into his. "You Hollywood types," she said, voice sharp as broken glass. "You think the world owes you everything. You think everyone should bow to you." Keanu didn't flinch. "Ma'am, I've never—" "Don't interrupt me," she snapped. Her voice echoed off the quiet street. Inside the house, the soft steam from Keanu's tea still curled in the air, untouched, a reminder of how suddenly this storm had arrived. He raised his hands slightly, palms open, a gesture of peace. "I'm not trying to interrupt, I just—" "There you go again," she barked. "Acting polite, acting humble, like you're some kind of saint. I know exactly what you celebrities are like behind closed doors." Keanu felt the sting of her words, but he kept his breathing steady. He'd been judged before, stereotyped, misunderstood, but never so aggressively for something he didn't even do. "I assure you," he said softly, "I haven't broken any rules, and I haven't disrespected anyone." She scoffed loudly. "You disrespected me when you didn't answer my calls." "I didn't receive any calls," he answered honestly. "Liar." The word hit the air like a slap. Harsh, personal, meant to wound. But Keanu stayed calm, looking into her eyes, and that's when he noticed it. A flicker, a flash of guilt, a momentary crack in her armor. She wasn't enjoying this. She wasn't naturally cruel. Her anger was rehearsed. Suddenly, she reached into her bag and pulled out a clipboard, thrusting it toward him. Papers trembled in her grasp. "Sign this," she demanded. Keanu didn't touch it. "What is it?" "A violation report. You accept the damages and we handle it privately. Don't make this messy." Her voice wavered slightly. She was nervous, scared. But scared of what? Keanu looked beyond her, just casually, just for a second, and saw it again. The same dark car sitting across the street, engine off, windows tinted black. A chill crawled up his spine. This wasn't a random confrontation. This wasn't a standard complaint. Someone was watching. Someone wanted this situation to explode. The woman leaned in so close he could feel her breath. "Sign it," she hissed, "unless you want this night to get worse." For the first time, Keanu felt a flicker of danger in the air, but also a compassion. Who was putting her up to this? The crisp night air seemed to tighten around them as the woman's accusations poured out. Her voice carried an edge sharpened by something deeper than irritation. It was fear wrapped in anger, violence coated in guilt. And Keanu felt all of it. She held the clipboard like a weapon, gripping it so tightly her knuckles whitened. "You broke the house rules," she said again, her tone shaking. "You've had loud parties, strangers coming in and out, damage to the living room furniture. The neighbors complained you were shouting last night." Keanu's eyes widened slightly. He hadn't even stepped outside after arriving. He'd spent most of the day alone in silence, reading script pages and practicing lines. Not a single guest, not a single loud noise. He spoke softly, choosing his words with care. "Ma'am, none of this is true." "Oh, don't act innocent," she snapped, stepping closer. "I know exactly what you celebrities do. You think you're untouchable. You think the rules don't apply to you." Keanu took a breath, steady and calm. Every part of him wanted to de-escalate, to understand why she was behaving like this. "I'm truly sorry you're upset," he said, "but I swear I've done none of those things. I respect people's homes, I respect you." But instead of softening, her face twisted tighter. "Respect?" she repeated with a bitter laugh. "You don't even respect the property you're in. The landlord got complaints today, multiple. And guess who gets blamed? Me." Her voice cracked. Keanu heard it, the truth trying to push through her anger. The problem wasn't him. It was someone else. Someone putting pressure on her shoulders until they bent. He gently asked, "Are you sure someone didn't file these complaints under my name by mistake? Maybe a misunderstanding?" She shut him down immediately, like her orders were strict and unbreakable. "There's no mistake. You're guilty, and you're going to sign." She shoved the clipboard toward him again, harder this time. Keanu didn't take it. A wind gust rustled the papers, lifting the corners. They weren't official forms. They weren't from a rental agency. They looked printed, recently, and sloppily. No company header, no logo. Not even a signature line for the manager. Fake. Definitely fake. Keanu's stomach tightened. This was a setup. He glanced once more across the street. The dark car hadn't moved. No interior light. No sound. But someone was inside. He felt it in the way instinct crawled along the back of his neck. The woman saw his eyes shift and snapped, "Don't you look anywhere else. Look at me." Keanu met her gaze and saw the truth hiding behind the rage. She was scared. Terrified. And someone was controlling her. He lowered his voice, gentle but firm. "Ma'am, I don't believe these accusations came from you." Her expression cracked. Almost broke. But then, as if remembering something, she stiffened again, fear flooding her eyes. And she whispered, barely audible. The moment the words, "I don't have a choice," slipped from her mouth, the entire atmosphere shifted. It was as if the street itself exhaled in recognition of the truth finally showing its face. Keanu didn't move at first. He let the silence settle, let the weight of her confession soak into the cold New York air. The woman's breathing had changed, shallow, anxious, trembling with every inhale. Her anger wasn't the real story. Her fear was. Keanu's voice softened to a whisper. "Who's making you do this?" She stiffened instantly, eyes darting to the street like a child afraid the monster under the bed might hear her speak. Her gaze flicked toward the dark car parked across the road, the one whose presence had been haunting the moment from the start. Keanu followed her eyes. The car's windows were still pitch black, no movement, no sound. But the danger radiating from it was unmistakable, like a silent threat waiting to be triggered. The woman swallowed, her throat tight. Please don't ask me that." Keanu took a step back, giving her space. He didn't want her to feel cornered. He wanted her to feel safe. "You're scared," he said gently. "And someone is forcing you to come here at night, to accuse me, to start trouble." She shook her head aggressively, trying to deny it, but the fear in her eyes betrayed her. "I just need you to sign the paper," she whispered. "If you sign it, this ends." But Keanu was no stranger to manipulation. He had spent decades navigating Hollywood politics, dealing with people who smiled with lies behind their teeth. He knew when someone was being used, and right now this woman was a pawn. "Signing that paper won't protect you," Keanu said quietly. "Whoever sent you won't stop here." Her lower lip trembled. For a moment, she looked less like the aggressive, disrespectful manager from minutes ago and more like a frightened mother. A woman caught in a trap she could not escape. "You don't understand," she murmured. "He's watching. He told me if I didn't get your signature tonight, things would happen. Bad things." Keanu felt a chill crawl down his spine. There it was! The puppet master! Who is he?" Keanu asked. She opened her mouth to speak, but then shut it abruptly, like invisible hands were choking the confession back down her throat. Her eyes filled with panic. "I can't," she said. "He said he'd hurt my family." Keanu's heart tightened. This wasn't about him anymore. This was bigger. A woman being controlled by someone who knew how to use fear as a weapon. He looked again toward the car, a shadow among shadows. And suddenly, as if on cue, the car's headlights flashed once. A warning. A signal. A reminder. The woman flinched violently. "There! You see? He's watching. Please, please just sign the paper so I can leave." Keanu didn't look away from the car. His jaw tightened, his posture straightened. The calm, gentle man inside him stepped back, and the sharp, protective, warrior-like spirit stepped forward. The night had grown heavier, thicker, as if every shadow in the neighborhood leaned in to listen. The woman's panic hung in the cold air like smoke, visible, choking, impossible to ignore. Keanu could see her chest rising and falling rapidly, her fingers trembling uncontrollably around the clipboard she still clutched like a lifeline. He knew that fear. He had seen it in war zones during charity visits, in the eyes of people hiding from danger, in the faces of those who had been silenced by threats that went unseen. It was the fear of someone who wasn't in control of their own life. Keanu softened his stance, lowering his hands slightly, his voice a steady anchor in the storm. "Ma'am," he said gently, "I'm not upset with you. I know this isn't your doing." Her eyes darted toward the car again, wide and terrified. "You don't understand," she whispered. "He's watching everything. He said he'd know if I failed." Keanu took a quiet step closer, keeping his movements slow so she wouldn't startle. "Let's go inside," he said. She shook her head violently. No, I can't. He said stay outside." That confirmed it. Every action, every word she had spoken tonight had been controlled, scripted, forced. Keanu's voice stayed low, steady as a heartbeat. "You're cold. You're scared. I'm not going to let anything happen to you. Please, just come inside where it's safe." She hesitated, the first true hesitation of the night. Her eyes softened for a brief second, the mask of anger finally dissolving, revealing the frightened woman beneath. For a moment, it looked like she might agree. But then, the car engine turned on. Not loudly, just a low rumble, a reminder. The woman jumped, clutching the clipboard to her chest. No, see? He's showing me he's there. He told me he'd be watching. He said if you don't sign, if I don't bring back proof." Her voice cracked like glass. Keanu's instinct told him to look back at the car again, but he didn't. He stayed focused on her, offering steady ground while her world shook around her. "Ma'am," he said softly, "I'm not your enemy." She blinked back tears. "But he is mine." Keanu nodded slowly, understanding radiating from his calm expression. "Then let me help you," he said. "I can't," she whispered. "If I go in your house, if I leave without the signature, he'll hurt my son." Her voice broke completely. "My little boy is home alone tonight. He said he has people watching my building, that they would get rid of trouble if I didn't do this." Keanu's stomach tightened. They weren't dealing with a simple blackmailer. This was someone organized, someone cruel, someone willing to use a child as leverage. He took a breath, grounding himself. "It's going to be all right," he said, and there was something in his tone, absolute certainty, quiet strength, that made her look up at him. "How?" she whispered. "You can't fight someone you can't see." Keanu didn't look at the car, didn't need to. He simply straightened. The street was quiet, too quiet. The kind of eerie calm that arrives right before something breaks. Keanu could feel it, the tension in the air, the invisible eyes watching from the dark. the woman's fear, the hum of danger vibrating beneath the surface of every word spoken tonight. But something else was happening, too. Across the street, on the second floor of a narrow brick apartment building, a curtain shifted. Just a fraction, just enough. A phone camera glinted for a split second as it caught the faint reflection of the streetlight. Someone was recording, not maliciously, not for gossip, just a concerned neighbor who had seen the strange late-night confrontation and decided to keep evidence, in case it was needed. The lens pointed at Keanu and the trembling manager. The recording captured everything: her raised voice, her fear, the forged papers, and more importantly, the dark car lurking like a predator waiting to pounce. Keanu didn't know he was being filmed, but the watcher's presence was a silent blessing. The woman's voice broke through the moment. "Please," she whispered, shaking, "just sign it so I can go home. I don't want any trouble." Keanu's eyes softened with compassion, but his mind sharpened like a blade. "Signing will only give him what he wants," he said gently. "It won't protect you or your son." She flinched, not because of his words, but because the car's engine revved softly, a growl of warning that slid through the street like a threat wrapped in sound. Inside the dark vehicle, a silhouette shifted. The neighbor zoomed in on it, capturing the movement. Keanu didn't look over. His instincts told him the watcher wanted a reaction, wanted to intimidate him, wanted to break the manager's will. He refused to give them anything. Instead, he stepped slightly in front of the woman, a small but unmistakable gesture of protection. Her breath hitched. Why are you helping me?" Keanu didn't hesitate. "Because someone has to." The neighbor, heart racing, continued filming, adjusting their angle to get both the confrontation and the lurking car in frame. They zoomed further, capturing the faint outline of the driver, a rigid jawline, a baseball cap, a shadowy figure staring directly at Keanu's house. The engine revved again. The woman whimpered, "He's getting impatient." Keanu shook his head slowly. "No, he's getting nervous." She looked up at him, confused. Keanu continued, voice calm, steady as a heartbeat in a storm. "He expected me to panic, to cave, to follow his script." He glanced toward the car just once, deliberately slow. "But I'm not playing this game." The car's headlights flashed twice, quick, sharp pulses of intimidation. The neighbor caught it all. A rustle came from another window. Someone else peering out, another phone raised. The entire block was slowly waking to the tension, the unusual confrontation. The street had become a silent stage. The street had become a battlefield of silence, the kind where danger isn't loud or fast, but slow, deliberate, creeping in like frost along a window pane. Keanu could feel the shift happening, the weight of truth pressing against the edges of the night, demanding to be revealed. The woman hugged the clipboard to her chest as if it could shield her from the fear that lived in her bones. Her eyes kept flicking toward the car across the street, every movement betraying how controlled she was, how deeply the threat gripped her. Keanu took a slow breath, grounding himself. He had to break through her fear, carefully, gently, but firmly. "Listen to me," he said, his voice low but unwavering. "I know you didn't want to come here. I know someone is forcing you." She looked at him with wounded eyes, ones that had already cried hours earlier, tears now hidden behind layers of forced anger. "You shouldn't get involved," she whispered. "You don't know him." "Then tell me," Keanu said. "Tell me who he is." She shook her head violently, almost terrified of her own voice. "He hears everything. He sees everything. He said if I told anyone—" Keanu held up his hand gently. "You're safe with me." But she shook her head harder. "Nobody's safe from him!" Her gaze shifted again to the car, but this time something changed. Her eyes widened, not in fear, but in sudden clarity. Keanu noticed immediately. "What do you see?" he asked softly. She didn't answer. Instead, her lips quivered, her breathing quickened, and she whispered, "That's not his car." Keanu's brows drew together. "What do you mean?" "He drives a silver sedan," she said, voice trembling. "That car, that one is different. I don't know who that is." Keanu's pulse sharpened. "There were two watchers tonight?" He followed her gaze. The dark car remained still, but now that he looked closer, he realized she was right. Its license plate was from another state. Cold air poured from its exhaust even though the engine was barely running, as if the driver was keeping it ready to move at any moment. "Then who's inside?" Keanu murmured. The woman swallowed. "I don't know, but he's not the one who threatened me." A chill ran down Keanu's spine. If the blackmailer wasn't in that car, then someone else had arrived for a separate reason. Maybe someone who wanted to see what would happen. Maybe someone who wanted Keanu out of the way. Maybe someone who had been waiting for this moment. Keanu stepped forward, his protective instincts kicking in like a rising tide. "Listen carefully," he said. "If that's not him, then the real danger is somewhere else. Somewhere close." Her breath caught. She slowly looked over her shoulder, toward the shadows between the houses, toward the corners where light didn't reach, and suddenly she froze. Her eyes locked on something behind Keanu, something moving, something watching. Keanu turned slightly, sensing it even before he saw it. A presence, a shift in the dark. The hallway outside Keanu's rental house was narrow and dim, lit only by the flickering ceiling bulb that buzzed like an irritated insect. Marlene, the house manager, stood stiffly with her clipboard pressed against her chest. Her earlier harsh tone still echoed in the air, words that had cut deeper than she intended. Inside the doorway, Keanu remained calm, though the insult lingered in his mind. He wasn't angry, just surprised. After all the places he had stayed in across the world, he had never been spoken to like this for simply arriving late. He studied her carefully, not with judgment, but with curiosity. Something in her eyes wasn't cruelty. It was exhaustion. Marlene cleared her throat. "Look, Mr. Reeves, I don't care if you're some movie star. Rules are rules. People come in here all hours, making trouble. I thought you were another one of them." Keanu exhaled slowly. "I understand. It's late. You're just doing your job." Her shoulders stiffened again, almost defensively. "You don't understand. People think because I'm the manager, I'm supposed to take disrespect. I deal with broken locks, screaming neighbors, late-night parties. I barely sleep." Keanu nodded, noticing the fatigue in her face, the weight of responsibilities piled on for years. "You work hard," he said quietly, "more than anyone realizes." His words stopped her. No one had ever said that to her. Not once. A silence settled over them, not tense this time, but thoughtful. "Still," Marlene muttered, "I shouldn't have talked to you like that. I shouldn't talk to anyone like that." Keanu gave a gentle, understanding smile. "We all have nights like this." Her eyes softened. For the first time, she looked at him not as a rule breaker, but as a human being, someone who had shown kindness instead of ego. The building creaked around them as the wind swept down the street outside. Marlene shifted her weight and pressed the clipboard against her side. "You can come in," she said finally. "Let's check the room properly this time. No rush." Keanu stepped aside to let her in. "Thank you," he said simply. As they walked down the quiet hallway toward the rental unit, something changed. Not in the building, but between them. The tension faded, replaced by a fragile but genuine respect. Tonight's misunderstanding had pulled two very different lives into the same emotional space, one weighted by responsibility, the other by fame he never asked for. And Section 9 closed on a moment of realization. Sometimes the harshest words come from the most tired hearts, and sometimes kindness is the only thing strong enough to break through. The street outside was almost silent now, washed in the pale glow of New York's late-night street lamps. Inside the small rental house, tension hung in the air like a storm cloud ready to burst. Keanu stood near the front door, shoulders slightly lowered, his expression softer now. No anger, no frustration, just calm acknowledgement. The house manager, Ms. Marlene Hayes, the woman whose sharp words had set the night on fire, paused by the doorway, still gripping her clipboard. Her earlier harshness had been a mask, a shield shaped by exhaustion, responsibility, and years of dealing with troublesome tenants who treated her like she didn't matter. But Keanu's reaction, quiet patience instead of Hollywood arrogance had shaken that shield more than she expected. "Mr. Reeves," she began, her voice uncertain. "Keanu," he corrected gently. "Just Keanu." She hesitated. No one ever said something like that to her. Not at 11 p.m., not in a place like this. Marlene took a slow breath and spoke with unusual honesty. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have talked to you like that. Long day. Long life, really." Keanu gave a small, sincere smile. "It's okay. Bad nights happen to all of us." His calmness disarmed her completely. For the first time, she saw him not as a celebrity renting a unit, but as a person. Someone who understood heavy nights and complicated emotions. A sudden gust of wind rattled the window. The moment felt strangely cinematic. Two strangers connected by conflict, now finding unexpected mutual respect. "You know," Marlene muttered with a faint laugh, "you're nicer than half the people who live here." "And you're tougher than all of them," Keanu said. She shook her head, but a smile cracked through. "Well, I'll finish the paperwork tomorrow. You should get some rest. And welcome to the building." Keanu nodded. "Thank you." As she walked out, the night no longer felt hostile. The earlier chaos, the disrespect, the misunderstanding, the tense words had transformed into something else, a strange kind of beginning. Keanu closed the door gently behind her and leaned against it, thinking about how quickly a simple rental house visit had turned into a midnight emotional showdown. But somehow, he felt lighter. Outside, Marlene glanced back at the glowing window. "Hollywood or not," she whispered to herself, "that man's different." And so the long, tense night ended, not in bitterness but in an unexpected moment of truth and human connection.